Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence for our troops serving our countries overseas and for all those lost to COVID-19. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please have a seat.
Notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law have been satisfied concerning this meeting. The Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger published a notice on September 25, 2020. It was posted on the Municipal Bulletin Board and should be so noted in the minutes of this meeting. Councilman Spiller. Here. Councilman Ficarra. Here. Councilwoman Meehan. Councilwoman Drum. Here. Councilman Patel. Councilman Anderson. Here. Councilman Bauer. Here. Vice President Small. Here. And President De Jesus.
Here.
At this time, can I entertain a motion to open the public portion of this meeting?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public portion of this meeting is now open. Comments from the public? Here are no comments from the public. Could I get a motion that the public portion of this meeting be closed?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public comment portion is now closed. Madam President, the mayor would like to present to you the fiscal year 21 budget.
Thank you. Mayor.
Madam Council President and members of the Township Council, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to present the administration's suggested municipal budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. I would like to first thank those mainly responsible for putting together this budget, especially Chief Financial Officer Manny Fernandez, Chief Accountant Mike Klepchik, and of course our new Business Administrator Vito Samaluka, who presided over his first ever budget as BA. On a side note, if you could make it quick tonight, Mike Klepchik has to get that suit back to the funeral home. There's a guy needs it for the 7 o'clock viewing. As we all know, the last 6 months have been very difficult times in Woodbridge and throughout the state, country, and world due to the proliferation of COVID-19. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy signed Executive Order 103 on March 9th, which essentially closed the state and allowed only essential township employees to report to work. Woodbridge Township therefore closed down most municipal operations other than essential services like police, public works, and health. But we never stopped serving the public with interactions with them by phone, mail, and online instead of in person. Our municipal employees have done an outstanding job to keep our residents as safe as possible and informed through this pandemic, and we are immensely proud of their commitment to the people of Woodbridge Township. COVID-19 also had an impact on our preparation of the fiscal 2021 budget, which we normally introduce in July, and we took advantage of the state's 2-month extension of all budget deadline dates. Fortunately, the township has always had a strong financial foundation, which helped us overcome some issues related to coronavirus. The township finished fiscal 2019 with a $25 million surplus, and our unaudited numbers for 2020 show that we maintained that surplus despite all of the challenges we faced. We suffered some revenue shortfalls in categories like hotel taxes, municipal courts and fines, and licenses, but we were able to offset those with excess revenues in areas like building permit fees and interest income. On the appropriation side, COVID-19 put a strain on our essential workers as we incurred significant overtime expenses and additional costs for items like personal protective equipment to keep our employees and residents safe. Fortunately, many of these were largely covered by our allocation of CARES Act monies through the County of Middlesex. We did not have to resort to furloughs or layoffs of any full-time employees, but we did eliminate significant part-time hours that were not needed because Town Hall and other locations were closed. Fortunately, our economic development efforts to attract new businesses to Woodbridge Township have provided us with a steady stream of income from pilots, also called payments in lieu of taxes, which offset a small reduction in collections from individual residents who were negatively impacted financially by the loss of employment. The fiscal 2021 budget at first glance appears to have gone up substantially on both the revenue and appropriation sides, but an explanation is warranted. The township sold 63 acres of land in Avenel for $51 million on the site of the former Woodbridge Developmental Center that we purchased for $7 million, and we just closed that transaction and received the wire transfer last Thursday. That amount shows as a one-time revenue in this budget. We are using that money to immediately pay down the debt in the form of bond anticipation notes in approximately the same amount. That amount shows as a one-time appropriation in this budget. Both sides of the budget clearly went way up, but not because we raised more money from taxpayers and not because we are spending more money on salaries and other expenses. The land sale is part of our greater plan regarding the school district referendum, which passed overwhelmingly on March 10th of this year, just before things began shutting down all over. The $51 million in land sale proceeds, plus the annual payment in lieu of taxes from the project, starting at $2 million and finishing at $4 million in 30 years, will be enough to pay for the entire $87 million referendum that provides for a new School 4 and 5 Avenel, plus major additions to School 25 in Fords and 28 in Seawarren, and other projects throughout the district. Because the state reimburses school districts based on debt service paid and not on construction costs incurred, it made sense for the township to allocate $51 million toward paying down our debt while the school district borrows the full $87 million. Had we just used the $51 million on construction costs and had the district borrowed only the difference, we would have missed out on several $million in state aid. We can now use the room created by the reduction of our debt to absorb all of the debt from the referendum, which was our plan when we introduced early this year, and which follows the same strategy we used with the 2017 referendum. Our taxpayers are the same as the Board of Ed's taxpayers, and we keep 95% of pilot payments with 5% going to the county, and we have been sharing our financial windfall with the board since we took office in 2006. Our 2021 fiscal year budget continues the investment the township has made in programs and services for our children, seniors, and families. Our recreation offerings are second to none, and our services by our Public Works Department are unmatched anywhere. The Health Department has proven their value in their handling of the pandemic, and our Police Department remains fully funded to handle the needs of our very diverse and inclusive Woodbridge community, and also the needs of thousands of people who travel to Woodbridge daily for work or for shopping or dining, or to take advantage of opportunities unavailable anywhere else. Our budget is within all state caps on appropriations and on revenues. In January, at our State of the Township address, we announced a plan to increase the police force by 5 officers in this budget and 5 in next year's budget. When the pandemic hit, we put those plans on hold until we could evaluate its impact on our finances. As noted earlier, there was no net negative impact on our numbers, so we are moving ahead with our plan. This budget also supports our capital fund plans, including our aggressive road paving program and our provisions for the vehicles and equipment that our workers need. We will continue to provide more playground and recreational equipment, and we are adding a half dozen more outside exercise stations like the RAR at LeGrand Park in Avenel and Tansman Park in Woodbridge. Recent investments in our parks, including Cypress Recreation Center in Port Reading and the skate park in Avenel, have proven to be unbelievably popular with our residents, particularly our children. We have heard the suggestions made over the last several months about the delivery of law enforcement and health-related service within our community, and we have carefully considered every option presented to us. We will not change our commitment to provide a response to all 911 calls with the police officer. We cannot risk the lives of civilians to respond to emergencies. However, what happens after the original call is of great concern to us to guarantee that help is provided to those in need. Regarding the issue of domestic violence, we have a very active and very professional response team that is highly trained and dedicated. These volunteers work with our police department, and they are recognized as among the best teams around. We provide them with funding and our annual budgets, including this one, and we have supported their drive for private donations, including one earlier this month for $10,000 from Amazon. We have not seen a need to change our practices in this area. Regarding the issue of dealing with those in addiction and those in recovery, our program is so well respected that 7 other towns use our services to help their residents. We deal with those people transported to a hospital after a Narcan deployment and provide a coach who is in recovery themselves to help steer the individuals to the right programs and services, and we help them obtain employment and housing. In many cases, there does not even have to be a Narcan deployment to result in our involvement with those in need. Regarding the issue of dealing with responses to calls involving individuals with mental health issues, we are evaluating our policies while recognizing that there is a lack of state guidelines for New Jersey municipalities to follow. We have contractual arrangements with Hackensack Meridian Hospital in Perth Amboy and with Rutgers Mental Health Services in New Brunswick to direct residents to the right programs and services. We have recognized the need to evaluate our approach to these interactions and we have included an appropriation in this 2021 budget to allow us to further study this issue with an outside consultant. Our approach to people with mental health issues should be stronger, perhaps modeled after our opioid effort, and we are committed to improving in that area. We have also heard from people about societal discrimination against individuals because of race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, or disabilities. We will not comment on national or state issues or respond to concerns that do not relate directly to our Woodbridge Township government. We cannot change history, but we can change the future of Woodbridge. We need to make sure that our Woodbridge Township government operates without any such discrimination or bias. We have always supported best practices in this area, but we are willing to accept the challenge that we prove it. Therefore, we have also appropriated funds in this 2021 budget for our labor attorneys to perform a full and thorough evaluation of every aspect of our operations to be sure we are free from any bias in any of our written documents such as handbooks, forms, or scripts, or any of our policies, practices, and procedures. This study will cover every single division and department, and hundreds of employees will be interviewed. We will look at how we handle our clinics, our concerts, our fitness centers, our senior classes, and all health, recreation, and public safety programs for the public. We will look at how we handle all written, oral, and electronic communications with any individual or business that deals with any township department. We will look at how we publicize and register people for a multitude of events and how we follow up to gauge their satisfaction. The most important aspects of this study, however, will be an in-depth look at our human resources and purchasing practices to be sure that past, present, and future employees are treated properly, and to be certain that all individuals and businesses are given a fair shot to do business with the township. In short, everything we do and everything we say will be analyzed by these experts. This soup-to-nuts study of our entire operation will provide suggestions and recommendations for us to serve our Woodbridge public fairer and eliminate any aspect of our government that discriminates against any individual or group of people for any reason. We are not aware of any such discrimination, but we are willing to have independent experts confirm or refute that and provide recommendations. As part of this effort, our labor attorneys will provide specialists with specific experience and sensitivity training to work with our employees to uncover any aspects of their daily interactions with the public which may be problematic and offer suggestions for improvement. Even if the studies do not indicate issues, it is appropriate to provide updated training to our employees. In summary, this budget continues our strong commitment toward maintaining and improving the quality of life in Woodbridge Township. We need to stress our limitations regarding issues outside of our control, and we want to direct our efforts and resources to issues with direct impact on Woodbridge Township and our budget, and with our direct communication with residents and businesses, which happen over 1,000 times per day. We are deeply committed to providing the best public service of any town around us, but we understand our commitment to do so without any traces of discriminatory bias to anyone. We cannot control what happens in society, but we can control what happens when someone interacts with our government. We cannot be the best town around unless we treat every single member of our town in the most equal and fair way possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam President, we have 6 items tonight that I need council to vote on. They're stapled in a packet before you. They're typically alphanumeric, however, tonight they're not. We'll take them as we go through them. You have a resolution number 1, which is a resolution utilizing an alternate method of calculating the reserve for uncollected taxes. That said, can I get a motion to approve resolution number 1?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next is letter A, which is your ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limit and to establish a cap bank. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be passed on first reading, published in the Home News Tribune on October 2nd, 2020, with notice of public hearing to be held on October 20th, 2020 at 6 p.m.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll take number 2 and 3 as consent. Number 2 is a resolution to introduce the fiscal year 21 budget, so you can continue with that this evening. And number 3 is a resolution for emergency temporary appropriations. Can I get a motion to approve 2 and 3 by consent?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. You have letter B, which is a first reading ordinance to authorize Phase 2 of the construction of an ice rink at the club at Woodbridge. Could I get a motion that this ordinance be passed on first reading, published in the Home News Tribune on October 2nd, 2020, with notice of public hearing to be held on October 20th, 2020 at 6 p.m.?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And finally, you have a resolution before you, number 4, which is the authorization to award a contract for an indoor ice rink at the club at Woodbridge. Can I get a motion to approve number 4?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Madam President, we'll go right into the budget workshop with the department heads. I believe Mr. Simaluka is asking to start with the police department. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Pages.
So that is budget number 2210, pages 34 through 39 as your salary and wages, and pages 65 through 73 as OE. Director Hubner is here.
65.
Mr. Kenny, Mary Jo Dizek, and I believe the deputy director is also here, Mr. Niski.
Thank you.
Starting with the police budget. Starting with the police budget, do we have any questions of Mr. Hubner? I see Councilman Ficarra.
Thank you, Council President. Director, just a question on page 69, lines 5115 and 5120, and regarding education for officers. First, my question is, what's the difference between initial and continuing education for the officers?
Initial education is the academy, and continuing is in-service training. Once you're on the job, continued professional education.
If I can ask, and I know that you map these things out, we've had some discussions, and the mayor mentioned when officers have to deal with mental health issues. Is that continuing ed training, does it address that? I noticed we have like $50,000. We haven't always spent that amount of money. Do we have a plan for that for the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Both in the initial academy training, there's that type of training for emotionally disturbed and whatnot. Excuse me. In continuing, we're required by the Attorney General through his Excellence in Policing initiative to take courses in de-escalation and dealing with those type of issues.
Very good. Thank you, Council President. That's all I have.
Thank you. Director Hubner, on page 67, under machinery and equipment, the control number is 101220, 2200, 2210, 4335. There is a significant decrease as requested, $35,000 decrease. Is that the communications equipment?
I'm sorry.
Page
Councilwoman.
67?
Right. What was the line?
It is the third item number under equipment.
Machinery and equipment?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, we decreased that because last year our traffic maintenance department needed a piece of equipment. It was for painting lines. We purchased that. It's up to speed, so now we can bring the line back down.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions from council on the police budget? Councilman Anderson?
I'm sorry, I lied. I have one more question. Can't even read my own writing. Director, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Hang on. It is page 68, line 415, maintenance contracts. We're requesting the same amount we did last year, $523,000. It's at the top of page 68.
Right.
I'm assuming that has something to do with our communications, but
I'm sorry. Yes, most of that is for the Motorola radio system.
Okay.
Maintenance. The maintenance bill is shared between the township, the Board of Education, the fire departments, and I believe that's it. So everybody makes payments, but that's a hefty bill.
Great. When I first came on the council, we had a major issue with the safety of our officers and the citizens, that if they were on the far northern end of town, many times they couldn't communicate, let alone communicate with other departments. I assume with this payment, we're much safer now because of this.
Absolutely, it's state-of-the-art, and we're actually upgrading as we speak. We're working with Motorola to upgrade this system.
Perfect. Thank you. I promise that's it for Director.
Councilman Anderson?
Director, overall, your staff increase or decrease from last year to this year by number?
As far as numbers, at the close of the fiscal year, we had 207 officers. We were budgeted for 210, but through retirement, we went lower. As of today, we're actually at 202.
Okay. And our increase expected, as the mayor indicated, we held off on 10 hirings?
That's correct. We're in the process right now of interviewing candidates, starting the background investigation. We received the civil service list, the certification, and we just began backgrounds on some candidates.
Okay. And your overall percentage increase request for your budget for this year?
As of right now, we're budgeted for 210, but as the mayor said, we're looking to get to that 215 before the year's out.
And percentage-wise, as far as what your overall request from last year, as far as percentage of funds that you're asking for your increase or decrease from last year to this year?
It would increase.
Increase?
Yes.
Do you know what percentage that is?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard
Your
time.
percentage increase? What your percentage increase is from last year to this year?
As far as how many officers?
No, percentage of your budget.
Okay, I would have to get back to you on that. I don't know the exact number.
Okay.
Any other questions for the police director? Councilwoman Meehan?
Yeah, I just have a comment, just about the budget this year. We're pleased to report that the 2021 budget provides additional funding for domestic violence response team, DVRT. We are including $20,000 in funding for the DVRT to continue their excellent work responding to the crisis of domestic violence. Additionally, we received $10,000 from Amazon that will greatly assist our DVRT volunteers as they respond to each and every report of domestic violence. Our DVRT is second to none, and our dedication to their mission, assisting victims each and every day. Thank you. Thank you for their work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Anderson, back to your question about the percentage. Overall, for the police budget, it's 1%.
1%?
1%.
From last year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vito.
I just want to make a comment too regarding, I'm very happy to say that we continue to support our police department. We thank you for the work that you do. We know that this is a large township, and I'm happy to see that our police force will be increasing to accommodate the needs of our residents. Like I've always said before, to me, it takes a special person to do the work that your department does. You're going out there and responding to calls of people that you don't know and putting your lives on the line. So for me in particular, it's very important that the people that respond to the calls have everything that they need to do their job properly, but that they also get back home to their families. So thank you for the work that your department does.
Thank you, Council President.
Director, I also just want to add one. I appreciate that you allowed me as councilman to ride out with your staff, with your patrolman. And I was impressed, as I mentioned to him in the email, his knowledge of his equipment, his use of the equipment, and the updating of the equipment that we are providing our police officers with the latest equipment, that they were knowledgeable about it, and that they put it to use while I was out in the field that day. I do appreciate the fact that you worked that out so that I could be in the field with them.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate the fact that you took an interest to go out, and I invite all the council members to take that opportunity if they ever get the opportunity or desire to do a ride-along. I think it's eye-opening. I think you found it very interesting, as you just stated. So thank you.
Any other comments from council? We're going to continue to ask the director to stay. He has the impound yard also in the Office of Emergency Management. The impound yard, budget 2215, S&W is page 40. OE is 70 through 72. Any questions on the impound yard? Office of Emergency Management, 2250. You want to, I'm sorry.
I'm
for the
sorry.
impound yard.
Yeah, on page 72, on the miscellaneous expense, there's an increase. Okay, what's the miscellaneous expense? Page 72.
72 miscellaneous expense. There's no Mr. Kenny. There's actually nothing in that line. Are we looking at 529?
Oh, it's under Perth Amboy Digital Trunk Radio. Is that not you? It's right here.
No.
Okay.
We'll get that. We'll speak to Mr. Fernandez about that. Okay, the Office of Emergency Management.
I see where the council president's looking. That's part of the radio system,
Okay.
and some of the money that's gained from Perth Amboy is also on the system. So they have to make a payment. Some of that payment goes into that line for expenses that aren't covered by the maintenance contract.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again,
Council President, it's to upgrade and maintain the equipment.
Okay.
That's the expenditure.
Councilman Spiller.
Council President?
Yes.
Director, along with the police department, I'm glad to see under emergency management domestic violence, as Councilwoman Meehan offered, but as well as CERT, the funding that they're receiving. Over the last several years, they've taken a much more proactive approach and being on scenes, seeing what they do along with emergency management. I don't want to say they've come a long way, but the program has really exponentially 110%. So I just wanted to note that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments on police, impound yard, or also Office of Emergency Management? Hearing no other comments, we will move on. Thank you. Would you prefer to go to planning and development versus the, right? Okay. So we're going to start with, we'll go next to the Office of Planning and Development. Marta Lesky-Darden is here to present her various budgets, beginning with the Director's Office, Budget 2010, S&W, page 29, other expenses 55 through 56. Any questions from council?
Council President?
Yes.
Director Darden, I just have a question on page 56. Miscellaneous expenses, the last four numbers 5295. Just noticed a pretty substantial increase there. Just curious what that's for.
That's additional funding for the Tommy Toolbox program that we've established in town. We're looking to expand that a bit.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the Director's Office?
I didn't hear that question. Was that regarding the miscellaneous expense?
Yes.
The one for 16,000?
Yes.
I didn't hear the answer, I'm sorry. You're looking to expand something?
Tommy Toolbox, a program that we have in town to help seniors and people who need a handyman, that you can't necessarily get a contractor to come out for a hinge on a door. We end up doing light bulbs sometimes. Sometimes it's handicap ramps, kind of like the Mr. Fix-It stuff that everybody needs that you can't find anywhere.
On page 58, under professional services other, there's a $50,000 increase. What other services? It ends in 4895. Closer to the end of the page.
That's redevelopment.
Under,
Yeah, under professional services other.
The redevelopment agency.
Redevelopment.
It's a contribution from the township to the redevelopment agency.
Okay. Thank you.
we'll look at the Planning Board and Zoning Board together, 2020 and 2030. S&W pages 30 and 31, OE between 57 and 60. Any comments from council on the planning board or zoning board? We'll go into the Housing Bureau, 2050, S&W 32. And finally, the Construction Code, 2075, S&W 33, OE 61 through 63. Any questions from council? Councilman Anderson?
So we have professional services under, final four numbers are 4995. It looks as though last year we invested in something. Is this a new entity? We have it for $65,000. Last year we spent approximately $48,000. Is this something that we have a new interest in?
That's the reclassification, which used to be under miscellaneous expense for both Laserfiche and our scanning services, which, as you know, given the number of permits that we do every year, that we're required to retain copies of our scanning services for building, is a rather large expense.
So it's just under another category now?
Previously, and now it's under 4995 other outside services, and you would see that in each division of the department. It previously was under miscellaneous expense. It's now been reclassified, and it's under other outside expense in each division of the department.
Councilman Anderson, you may see that throughout this budget as we move to consolidate some of our files from paper to electronic.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So I have
Councilman
a
Bauer.
comment for planning and development. Under our pilot programs throughout our township, many local fire districts over the years have benefited from the monies allocated to purchase new apparatus and equipment. Due to construction of two new warehouses on New Brunswick Avenue in Hopewell, the second ward, which I represent, both pilot programs, Hopewell Fire District 8 will be receiving a substantial allocation. Over the years, our administration has established and continues a strong relationship with our fire districts, working side by side for the betterment of our community. Thanks to our planning and development department and all those involved. Thank you very much.
Council
Thank you.
President, I have a comment, please, if you don't mind. Director Darden, I just wanted to say thank you. I know that during the pandemic, you as well as the other departments, nothing stopped. Redevelopment kept going. You had a staff of real Energizer bunnies who went out and made sure that our local businesses had the agreement to be able to easily have their restaurants outside dining. You did it very quickly. Everyone was very happy and very supportive of that. So I just wanted to say thank you to you and your staff for all of their hard work.
Thank you. I'll pass that on.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council? Thank you, Mrs. Darden. We're going to go to Department of Public Works. Our director, and I know we have various division heads. Begin with the director's budget, which is 1610, which S&W is page 16, OE is 31 through 32. Again, just starting with the director's budget. Any questions from council? He's joined by Mr. Gellin, who is our municipal engineer, budget 1620. 17 on S&W, 32 through 35 on engineering, on OE. Any questions from council? We'll go to road repairs and maintenance, 1631. 18 and 19 on S&W, 36 through 39 on OE. Road repairs and maintenance, any questions?
On page 39,
I see Mr. Kevin Teahan will join us as well.
I'll wait till he shows.
I'm sorry, Council President.
Page 39, under health and salaries, health and safety, nothing had been requested before, and there's a substantial amount requested, appropriated. Can you just explain a little bit of what that is, the salaries for under health and safety? It ends in 3520.
Madam President, that would be an increase in salaries due to the COVID emergency.
So COVID, okay.
Yeah.
Is it custodial for all the?
It was, yes, it was custodial. And it was actually everything. Yeah.
Okay,
There should be a reimbursement coming soon from the county that would
okay.
Right.
offset last year's expense.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll offset last year's expense, but it was put in through the CARES Act. So we should get reimbursed through that. They've already indicated that they would. We just haven't received that check.
Thank you.
Oh, we have that check, forgive me. We do.
Thank you. And I just want to say, Director Brew, thank you to your department. We have all, during this pandemic, been thrown into the midst of chaos, and you and your department and have taken control and have done an exceptional job. So thank you for essentially putting your lives at risk, because you're doing all the cleaning, and we really do appreciate the work that you guys do. And we've had a lot of storms and stuff, and you guys have been never taking a day off, so we really appreciate the work that the Department of Public Works and Parks does.
Thank you, Council President.
Mr. Spiller.
Thank you, not so much a question, I want to bring up, I like the positive thinking and over the slight increase in snow and sand and salt. So I like the positivity that we're going to be another nice warm winter. Thank you.
It's nice to wish.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Meehan?
I just want to thank Public Works. You women and gentlemen do a wonderful job for our community. Every time we call you, every time I call you and there's a problem, you get right out there, you take care of our residents. You're nice to our residents, and you really make us shine when you call us. So thank you for all your hard work for the whole Department of Public Works.
Thank you.
Continuing with road repairs and maintenance.
Just would like to ditto Councilwoman's comments. DPW department, you're always there. When we ask for you, you go quickly, expeditiously, and always very kind to our residents. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on that particular division?
Just echo the sentiments of everybody on the council, Department of Public Works, stepping in that, do a great job.
Thank you.
Snow removal and calamities, 1632. S&W 20, 39 through 40 on OE.
Sorry, Mr. Mitchell, I jumped on, but I was just so excited that
I didn't say a word.
Oh, it's 2020, so we don't know what else we're getting.
Any questions on calamities besides the wishful thinking? We'll go to street cleaning, 1633, S&W 21, OE 41 through 42. Questions from council? If not, right into equipment repair, 1640, 22 on S&W, 42 through 45 on OE.
Very good for right now. Mr. Mitch, I'll be taking care of the equipment repair till Rudy's absent.
Any questions on equipment repair? We'll continue into sanitation, 1660, 2324 on S&W, 46 through 48 on OE, joined by Mr. James Cephas. Councilman Spiller.
Just a general question. I know we've been having to raise the budget because of some of the recycling issues, or we had to send it out. Is that still ongoing? I think we haven't.
So, we have an increase on our, and it's an overall on recycling, our MCUA, our food waste recycling program. We're seeing small increases across the board, and we've adjusted accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
Questions? Going to Public Buildings and Grounds, 1670, S&W 25, 50 through 51 on OE. Mr. Brian Burke will join Mr. Brew. Any questions? Councilwoman Drum?
Thank you, Mr. Mitch. Page 51. The first line item is, I don't know, went from 17,000 to 59.5. So just was curious what that
That's for the new construction we're doing on the third floor of the town hall.
Okay.
Changing HR and security.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Tyler Anderson?
Top page 51, 4250. We have a request from last year.
Councilman Anderson, that was the question that Councilwoman Drum just asked that question. And the answer was that that's the construction for the new offices on third floor to accommodate purchasing and the new human resources office. Okay? It's okay.
Any other questions on Public Buildings and Grounds?
Just have a comment regarding the use of our in-house union trades to offset the cost of construction projects. Many smaller projects that have gone out for bid, private to bidding companies, are now being handled in-house, eliminating the middleman and lowering costs. These highly skilled workers have handled many projects through our township, recently at Town Hall, senior centers, and our recreation facilities, and so on. Thank you for another cost-effective program benefiting both the town and our local trade unions. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Councilman.
Any other comments or questions? We'll go to Parks Maintenance, 3310.
Thank you, Brian.
56 on S&W, 89 to 91 on OE. Joined by Mr. Bobby Higgins, Robert Higgins. It's over here, Bobby.
It's hard to hear if I'm speaking to you.
They joined us here.
Maybe they're
Any questions for Mr. Brewer, Mr. Higgins, Parks Maintenance? Questions or comments from council?
Okay.
We'll go into School Custodians, 1675, 2628 on S&W, OE 52 through 54, joined by Mr. Patton.
I don't have a question, but I just want to make a comment. I want to thank your department for all the work that they've done once we got thrown into the coronavirus nightmare, and how your department, all those school custodians, they've really stepped up, and they did and are continuing to do an exceptional job. So on behalf of us, we just want to say thank you for a job well done.
Thank you very much. I'll be sure to pass that to the staff.
Any other comments or questions? Councilman Anderson?
I also want to echo those comments, being county superintendent, knowing what our custodians face every day. The schools are very germ-y place with kids and all kinds of things. But I do have a question with regard to the fact that hours being reduced, with custodians not being needed in the schools as much. Were you able to move anything around to see how your budget, was your budget impacted at all by the fact that custodians may not have been needed for the amount of time that they were in prior years?
Well, actually, we didn't reduce any hours. The custodians worked right through. We did a continued sanitizing. Then we got right into summer cleaning, which is emptying all the rooms like we do every year. So actually, we didn't reduce any hours, which we're very fortunate for, thankful.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Any other questions or comments on school custodians? Thank you. We'll go into sewer maintenance, 8530. That's under the sewer utility. 81 on S&W, 132 through 135 on OE. And Mr. Tian will come back.
That's Mr. Tian.
Any questions on sewer maintenance?
Council President?
Councilwoman Drum.
Councilwoman Drum.
Page 134. Line 4895.
4895.
Professional service other. Just curious, it went
that's,
pretty high up, so I just was curious what that was.
We use that for when we hire off-duty police officers. That's where that comes out.
I'm sorry?
We hire, that's for off-duty police officers.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
line item for that. That's where we charge for that.
Okay, thank
And
you.
it's also,
What was that?
it's also for all of our traffic controls when we're doing road work, sewer
Okay.
work. We're required to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of that going on lately, so I have noticed that. Thank you.
Any other questions on sewer maintenance? Mr. Tian, I'm sorry, but do you have to come back? Oh, you're good, right? Okay,
This is
thank
the
you.
last one.
All right, thank you. Wastewater sewer treatment, 8540, also under the sewer utility, S&W 82, 140 to 142 on OE, joined by Mr. Wagner. Any comments or questions on the wastewater budget?
I just have a question, and I'm just curious, because on page 141, under fees and permits, item 5130, which is closer to the end of the page on 141,
Okay.
Just the fees and permits.
fees and permits, 5130 item.
Council President, that was an error on our part when we submitted. The line item actually needs to be that 8,000 in place.
Okay, because I was
talked to
wondering why there was no,
Comptroller, it was an error on our end when
Okay.
we submitted.
so you're
And we're going to
requesting
make the
8,000?
correction, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions under wastewater sewer treatment? We'll also take the sewer CP site, 8550, also under the utility, 83 S&W, 140 to 142 OE. Any other questions on that? Thank you. We'll go to both the MCUA and the RVSA. Page 139 for both on OE. Any questions on the Middlesex County Utility Authority or the Rahway Valley Sewer Authority?
On page 139, item 5410, the MCUA, there's a $400,000 decrease.
What item are you looking at?
5410,
That's the,
Madam Chairman, we call the MCOA and discuss what the charges are usually going to be. We look at the charges from prior years. We've seen that we never spent more than what we've asked for before, so we decided to bring that down in line. So we feel confident that we won't go over 5 million. So again, it really depends on weathers and a lot of different factors, but we think 5 million is going to be a good number.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? Mr. Councilman Anderson? Oh, sorry. Vice President Small?
Thank you so much. Actually, a comment. Director Brew, I just want to thank you for your hard work and dedication. I'm an old public works guy, so my heart's still there. I know every one of these department heads work really, really hard. I tend to lean on them sometimes, still being involved in the firehouse and first aid and sports leagues. So I appreciate everything they all do. I just want to say thank you to you, especially for still finding time to volunteer in our community as a firefighter. I really appreciate it. I know your job is really demanding. And to Eddie Wagner, when I left to be a police officer, you replaced me, and look at you now.
Very good. Councilman Anderson?
I'll probably ask Mr. Fernandez the same question. Up at the top with fuel oil, was that the same philosophy with dropping the fuel request by $50,000?
That's true.
That's true. Because of prior year spend?
That's your cost. Yes, sir. That's, 1 second, that's
Page 139.
139, sorry.
Page 139, item 5310.
5310.
It's the first item. The fuel oil.
Okay, so we've seen a reduction in the amount of fuel we've been using. We've replaced all our generators and all our pump stations, much more efficient. So it's a more accurate figure as to where we stand. You know, we need the money there just in case, you know, we have a bad storm season, hurricane season, but we feel confident in the reduction there.
Mr. Brew, is there anything else you have this evening? That's it.
I think I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move to the library. Director Monica Eppinger is here. Are there any questions under the library tab?
I'm going to make a comment. I think the libraries have significantly improved all the programs that we offer and all the services that we offer. So again, you know, this is an opportunity that we get to see all of the department heads and all of the directors in one place at one time. So I personally want to say thank you for all the programming that targets all of our residents and everything that we celebrate. And I'm specifically talking because you have a beautiful pamphlet that celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month. So I deeply appreciate the response in helping us celebrate the month. I also want to say look forward to working with you in the pop-up libraries next year, because hopefully we'll be done with all of this and we can service the kids in Hope Lawn and Caseby and bring the library to them over the summer. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for all your support.
Any comments from council? Vice President Small.
Yes, I'd just like to thank the library trustees that are here today. I know you've put a lot of time and effort in, and I just want to say thank you. Mrs. Eppinger, a real quick story. I went to the Columbia branch on a security detail for the schools, and they made me get a library card.
Good to hear.
They're working hard for me.
I just have one
Councilwoman
comment,
Drum.
Council President. I also echo everyone's sentiments about how the library has been so enhanced in the last several years. And I also do want to point out during the pandemic as well, the library was open for people who didn't have Wi-Fi, who didn't have a generator and had power losses. The library was available for those people to go there and use the Wi-Fi. So very much appreciated. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. Councilman Spiller.
Thank you, Mr. Mitch. Director, just to echo Councilwoman Drum's comments, I want to thank you, your staff, and the trustees as well. My children use the library services a lot during the pandemic. You know, it really helped them. You and your team thought outside the box. You came up with some great virtual plans and programs and events. So on behalf of the resident and my family, I want to thank you and your team. So thank you.
Council President.
Councilman Ficarra?
Thank you, Monica. Just a general comment. Under your watch, we've somehow brought the presentation of the budget to all the other departments. I've been around for a little while, and I remember at this time, the budget for the library system looked completely different than everything else, and it required much more time to look over. I don't have any questions because you answered them all on your budget, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from council on the library budget? No. Thank you. We'll move into the municipal court. Our director, Phil DiNicola, is here. S&W pages 58 and OE 112 through 113 under the municipal court. Are there any questions from council? Any questions of Mr. DiNicola? Thank you. We'll move on to the Department of Health.
Nice work, Bill.
Our director, Dennis Green, is here. We will be starting with the Administration 3010, S&W 41, OE 77 and 78. Any comments or questions? Councilwoman Drum.
I just would like to comment on page 78. Under mental health, there's a $200,000 amount there, and the mayor spoke earlier, and I'm assuming that is for the commitment to further study the mental health issues. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Councilman.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Meehan.
Councilwoman Drum stole my question, but I just want to say I'm really glad to see that $200,000 in the budget for mental health. Anytime you put money toward mental health, it's so important, especially through this time that we're going through right now. And thank you for all you've done. You know, this has not been an easy job for the health department, so thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, Councilman.
Council President. I'm sorry.
Greg?
Director Green, on that area is drawing a lot of attention on mental health, for obvious reasons. Without putting you on the spot, because I know it's early, that's a nice piece of change, but do you have any idea what that might be, what that might look like, where you're going with it, and what is the correlation between your department and the police department?
Yeah, I'd like to put some meat on the bone, but it's hard for me at this point. So it's really early stages. I think we're going to do some, the cost is going to go to some exploration of what should be doing. But I think the main goal is to try to divert some of these mental health cases or issues away from the PD and more get the health professional to respond and help people more than having a police response. That's the main goal.
Great, thank you.
Councilman Ficarra, just to add to Director Green's comments, it's also to augment the police department after they make the initial call to have some follow-up from the mental health point of view standpoint, so that there is some, that we don't get recurring and they get the help they need.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Anderson.
I was going to ask the same question as Councilman Ficarra, but if you mentioned the word study. So is this a study in collaboration with the local hospital, or is this a study where we're looking interdepartmental between our own departments or the county? Can you elaborate on what kind of study that would be?
Sure, so you touched on it. So private and county. County has some available groups out there that we looked into. There are resources through the county, and there are resources outside the county in private business that we're going to explore all of our options. It may be a mixture of both or several. So we haven't gotten there yet, but we're working with the Health Department, specifically Director Green and Bonnie Nolan, Dr. Bonnie Nolan.
Thank you. I think we went, a couple of us went to a workshop where we got to meet a chief of police from another town, and he mentioned how his police department works with an organization in Ocean County, I believe he was. And we were very interested to see how they worked, and I'm glad to see the money allocated so that we can pursue something similar. I know that there's no program like what he was talking about in Middlesex County, but I'm very happy to see the response in looking for alternate ways to deal with the mental health issues. Thank you.
Councilman Spiller?
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I have it in my notes. I know a couple of fellow council members brought it up, but I just want to say how pleased I am to see this large amount placed in for this subject. There's been a lot going on over the last 6 months before that. I think it's very important. Let the professionals tell us what we're supposed to be doing. So I just want to go on the record. Thank you. I want to thank you and your entire department. You always do a bang-up job, especially over the last 6 months. You've been 110% fantastic, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Any other comments or questions on health administration? We'll move into animal control, 3020, 42 S&W, 82 to 84 OE. Animal control. Environmental, 3030, S&W 44, 8788 on OE. Any questions or comments? Move into nursing, 3040, 45 S&W, 80 to 82 on OE.
It's a question on 3515 salary seasonal. We budgeted the past few years nothing. Now we're up to requesting $59,000 this year.
Right, so obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. Some of these seasonals are the contact tracers, so we put some money in there for the contact tracing. We know that's going to continue. If anything, it's going to pick up, so we did put some money in there, which is new this year.
Yes. Thank you.
Councilman Barrett, we'll also seek to regain those funds back from the CARES Act as that goes along. It's broken up into several different segments throughout the calendar year.
I just have a comment, and that's to say, again, to say thank you, because we were presented with something that none of us ever thought we would live through, and your department has handled this exceptionally well. While we were working from home, most of us, you were in the health department with your staff working nonstop, and you are still working nonstop. So we really do appreciate all the work and the time, and you answer all of our questions whenever we have questions. And it's basically really answering the unknown, because we are still, I feel like, in a lot of unknown area, but we do appreciate the work and the time and effort that you and your staff have put into saying, for our residents, for all of us. So we do thank you.
Thank you, Council President.
Anything else under nursing? Move on to the Office on Aging, 3061, 46 S&W, 9495 OE. If not, the Evergreen Senior Citizen Center, 3062, 47 S&W, 96 OE. Councilwoman Meehan.
Again, I would just like to make a comment for the Evergreen and social services. Through this pandemic, they've worked tirelessly to help our seniors. We've gone out, me and my councilmates have gone out to help deliver food to some of these seniors, and they're so appreciative of all the services they've done down, local services and the Evergreen Senior Center. Just really watching out for them. They were very sad and alone, and it really made a world of difference for all they did down there. So I appreciate your services as to the entire township. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. You know, I'm very proud of all my team at the Health Department because every division helped out, whether it was from animal control to multi-services, the senior centers, and all those other divisions. They all chipped in and did what they did, you know, and they volunteered to do duties that were normally not their duties. They got specialized training to go on to CDRSS and all these different programs that help us out. So I'm very proud of all of them. They really chipped in when the things, you know, when everything got bad, they really volunteered, even if it wasn't their job. So I'm really proud of all of them in all the different divisions. So thank you.
Thank you.
Senior Transportation, 3063, S&W 48, OE 9798. Any questions from council? Senior Transportation?
Council President.
Councilman Ficarra?
And Director, similar to what Councilwoman Meehan said and Councilman Drum, we had an opportunity to roll on those buses when we were helping to deliver some food. And the interaction of the drivers and the people they were serving, it was very obvious that they truly care about what they're doing and realize the impact. So no questions at all about the budget, just a congratulations to that particular team along with your others. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
If I could comment, Council President?
Councilwoman
And the joy when you went to deliver the lunches and the meals, they were so, it didn't matter if you got there at noon or 2 because we were so busy. It was a great thing. Thank you for all that your staff does.
We're happy we could do it. Thank you, Council.
Mr. Councilman Anderson?
Can I ask about line item 3510? There's a significant increase in salaries, going from $22,750 to $100,000. Is there an expansion in a certain area of the Evergreen Youth Center?
Okay, what page? I'm sorry, what page are you on?
Page 98.
It's under salaries, regular.
That's the youth center, or you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's.
I don't cover the youth center.
Yeah.
That's under recreation.
Sorry.
This year.
Okay.
We'll move on to the Port Reading Senior Center, 3065, S&W 52, 100 on OE. Any questions from council? Drug Addiction Services, 3066, 53 S&W 101 on OE. And then finally, the 5 branches and Hickory Senior Centers, 3067 and 3068, S&W between 54 and 55, and OE 102 to 104. Any questions or comments from council? Vice President Small.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. Mr. Director Green, I too would just like to thank you for all the hard work and wonderful performance. Until I sat on the council, I had no idea that all these departments fell under you. And I just want to compliment you on all of them. They did a great job. Thank you, Councilman.
Any other comments or questions? Any final comments or questions for Mr. Green?
Thank you very much, Mr. Green, for the entire COVID period. I know your department worked tirelessly around the clock, and I called you on a few occasions myself, and you were very responsive, and your staff was very responsive. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Council.
Am I right? Okay, thank you, Mr. Green.
Thank you. Thanks, Doug. Thanks.
Going to the Department of Recreation, Recreation Utility. Director Molnar, Deputy Director Losick, and Patrick Muller. Begin under Recreation, 3320, S&W 57, OE 92 and 93.
Council President.
Mr. Ficarra.
Directors, You guys got a big budget, so there's 3 of you to answer questions, so any of you could take the, page 93, line 4995, other outside services, $575,000. Could you give us a little breakdown on that?
Yeah, so Councilman, that is money that goes towards the Seymour Library, the WTYRC, the money that we give to them. Money we set aside for the murals that are painted throughout town to beautify the township. Our drive-in movies.
Got it.
And just some other things that we do, like our senior billiards club and stuff like that, just outside groups that we
Got it.
that
Okay.
we help.
Impactful, thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Molnar on 3320, recreation? Comments? Going into celebration of public events, 3330, 108, 109 on OE. Councilman Ficarra?
Same question, you guys. Page 109, line 4995, other outside services. I'm always interested for a deeper explanation of what that might be.
That's for stuff like our fireworks. We put money aside for different recreation events we do throughout the year.
Got it. The bigger, the larger type of event.
More like the festivals.
Gotcha.
That we do.
Any other questions on celebration of public events? Move down to the WCC, 60 to 69 on OE, 144 through 161 on OE, 60 to 69 S&W, I'm sorry. WCC 8220. Councilman Ficarra?
Okay, same question. Page 147, line 4995, it's the same thing, other outside services. That's a pretty large piece of change there.
What number was that, Councilman?
Page 147, 4995, other outside services.
That would be our contribution to the WAA.
Okay. What is the WAA again?
The Woodbridge Arts Alliance.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions under the Woodbridge Community Center? To the Barron Art Center, 1410, 13 on S&W, 17 through 19 on OE. Any questions or comments?
On page 19, salaries regular 3510, there's a significant increase for the Barron Art Center for the salaries. Right? 3510.
I think that's a different department, Council President.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's personnel. Sorry.
We'll save that. We'll save that. Yeah. Okay. It's okay. We'll move to Highland Grove, 8240, 70 on S&W, 162 to 164 on OE, Highland Grove. Any questions or comments? Cypress Rec Center, 8250, 71 S&W, 166 through 167 OE. The Club at Woodbridge, 8200, S&W 72 through 78, 166 through 167 to 177 OE. Club at Woodbridge. Councilman Spiller?
Thank you, Mr. Director,
I see a couple throughout. Some drops in the salaries of seasonal. Is that related to the pandemic and some of the programs that were forced to shut down, for lack of a better word?
Yes, Councilman, because of the pandemic and us being shut down, for 3 months, we've cut part-time staff.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions with regards to the club? Comments? The Evergreen Youth Center, 3064, 49 on S&W, 9899 on OE. Councilman Anderson?
Oh, it was a question that I accidentally asked Director Green. I noticed that there was an increase in the salary up to 100 grand, 100,000. And I noticed that you've been reducing your salary in other areas, as Councilman Spiller alluded to. Is there a new program that's going on at the youth center, or just new hirings? Or?
Councilman, we shifted the salaries of the part-time employees to that line. If you look at the line before it, where it was under part-time, they're not in that line no more. So it was just a reallocation.
Okay. So
that's the teachers, the teachers, the counselors, all the part-time employees.
I just want to make a comment. I'm very happy that we are opening the Port Reading Teen Center and the Highland Grove Teen Center. For many years, we only had the Ever Youth Teen Center, and it was in Colonia, and our question was always, well, what about the kids from Woodbridge? What about the kids from Ford's? Where are all these kids going, being that there was no busing available? And I'm happy to see that we have taken care of our seniors with all of our senior centers, and now we're moving to our teens, where there will be a place, a safe place, where they can go after school when there's no school, and there will be supervised activities for them. So I want to commend you and your staff, because I'm really looking forward to the grand openings and to seeing all of the events that are going to partake here. And again, we're addressing an issue that our residents were questioning us about and asking, what about our youth, what about our teens? And this is our response. We're opening 2 new teen centers. So thank you for a job well done.
Thank you, Madam President. And I want to thank the mayor, too, for his vision taking over the old Hungarian club once we close on that, and then giving our students that opportunity, our children. So we look forward to it. We're excited.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on that? If not, we'll move to the both teen centers, Highland Grove and Port Reading, S&W 50 through 51, and OE 104 to 106, Highland Grove and Port Reading teen centers. Any questions or comments? Anything else for Mr. Molnar? Okay, thank you.
Want to make a comment, if you don't mind?
Oh,
Councilwoman Drum.
We've been saying thank you to all the directors. I know that the Recreation Department has not stopped. They went full force throughout the pandemic. It was really hard shifting around and preparing the fields for the concerts and all the other activities that you do in our town. So thank you for all of your efforts in that area. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Vice President Small.
I too want to echo the sentiments. I appreciate everything your department does for this community. I'm hoping that we have a couple more concerts next year. But, great job by all. I appreciate all you do. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. Mr. Simaluka, do you want to go through your divisions first before we do the final administration and council and utilities?
Yep, absolutely.
If we can, then we'll go to the Division of Assessment, 1330. Mr. Richard Duda, S&W, page 11, and 27 through 28 on OE.
Page 11. Yeah, really. Nice. I don't even have it.
Good afternoon, Council.
Any questions of Mr. Duda, 1330, Tax Assessor's Office?
Just
No
a
questions or comments?
Councilman Ficarra.
Councilman
general
Ficarra.
comment. Director Duda, I'm glad to see that we actually still do have to pay our taxes. I heard there was some question about whether we had to do that or not, but thank you for clearing that up.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Mr. Duda. The tax collector, Mr. Lorenzen,
Thank you, Council.
1320. S&W, page 10, 25 through 26 on OE. Any questions of the tax collector? While he's here also, we'll do sewer administration, which is 8510 under the sewer utility, which is 79 on S&W, 126 to 127 on OE. Either department, tax collection or sewer administration. No questions, no comments? Thank you, Mr. Lorenzen.
Thank you.
And just one comment, Director, not a question, but, you know, when people go to your office, they don't always have smiles on their faces. You don't always get a lot of pats on the back, but I find your staff to be very accommodating and looking for ways to help our citizens as opposed to throwing up roadblocks. So please extend my appreciation. No comments on the financial. I wouldn't dare do that, not with you.
Very good. We appreciate it. We try to put ourselves in their shoes, and I think they do a good job dealing with the public. I agree with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to purchasing, 1225, our purchasing agent, Jennifer Burns. S&W will be page 5, OE 12 through 13. And just jump a little bit, we're also going to include utilities and bulk purchases at the same time, but we'll take purchasing first.
Page 13, 4995, requesting a huge increase, $240,000. Could you just explain other outside services?
So we have $240,000 as a not-to-exceed amount for our qualified purchasing agent of record.
Thank you.
Anything else, Councilman?
Nope.
Any other questions on purchasing?
I want to welcome Jen. Everybody knows that I'm all about girl power, so congratulations.
Thank you.
We look forward to working with you.
Me too.
Nice glasses.
Also, she'll be taking utilities and bulk purchases as well. If anybody has any questions under 1290, OE 21. I think we're good. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Personnel, 1240. Mr. Darren Crocker. That's page 8 on S&W, 19 through 20 on OE. Any questions or comments from council?
I'm sorry. So my question, I asked it to the wrong department, but page 19, the salaries, the regular, item 3510, there's a significant increase in salaries.
Yes.
I understand that purchasing and personnel were one department and they've split, but if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely. That expense actually is the salary agreement that we're carrying for personnel that's no longer in that position.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Vice President Small.
Thank you. Mr. Crocker, welcome aboard. I wish you all the best luck in the world. I know I worked a long time with you with the Little Leagues. We were both in the Little Leagues, and you did a great job there volunteering. and I'm sure you're going to do a great job, President. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President.
Thank you. Any other comments? Thank you, Mr. Crocker.
Thanks, Darren. Good job.
Comptroller 1310, page 9 S&W, 22 through 24 on OE. Any questions or comments from council? Councilwoman Drum.
Page 23, professional service other, 4895, and other outside services, 4995.
Right, so the first one,
The first one is kind of like 3 times, it went from 25,000 to 75? Just
Yeah.
curious.
Councilwoman, since we're going to have 1 bond and 2 note sales this year, all the expenses related to those sales, such as the auditor's fee, the legal fees, the rated agencies, all going to get charged to that. Usually they get charged against the bonds, but the bonds, soft costs have decreased over time, so that I have to charge it to my budget. Okay. And the other one, the other line you're talking about, the other outside services, 4995, that's ADP. All our ADP for payroll processing goes there. And now with COVID, and they're being more decentralized, they've told us that they're going to increase fees over the next year. So that's the reason for the increase.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the comptroller? Mandy, do you want to take the parking and marina utilities as well? Is that Mr. Simaluka?
Yeah.
Right, okay. We'll go through 1910 is the parking utility, 8700 is the marina utility. S&W between 84 and 85, and the pages for parking utility start at 142.
142.
Thank you.
And the marina utility at 178. Councilman Ficarra?
I don't hear too well down here. Did we review information systems, 8520?
Not yet.
Not yet. We're going to go there next.
Making Brian sweat a little bit more.
Oh, I couldn't see him from here.
Brian's new, so he
Page
goes last.
142 through 144, and then the marina will be 178 through 180.
Question regarding 4995, other outside services, a significant drop, which is usually good.
What page, Howard?
Page 143, please. 4995, other outside services.
So you guys have been to town hall, you see, not many people are going to the city. So in terms of S&W and O&E, we budgeted for what we had to pay, but we took a conservative approach in, because it's a utility, we don't have to expend what we take in. So that's the reason why you see a vast reduction in the O&E on the utility side of parking.
Any other questions or comments on the 2 utilities? If not, we'll go to Information Systems, Brian Austin. $8520 is the budget under the sewer utility pages. 80 on S&W, 132 to 130 to 132 on OE. Any questions or comments for Mr. Austin? Questions or comments?
Just wanted to comment, please.
Councilwoman.
Welcome to you, too. I knew you looked familiar because you're a volunteer on our CERT team, and congratulations in running our IT department. We wish you all the best.
Thanks for our iPads.
Any other questions or comments? Councilman Spiller? Yes, MIS. Good?
Councilman Ficarra, this is Information Services, in case you had a question.
Do I have a question?
Information services, did you have a question?
No, I made a comment.
Oh,
Thank you. It might have been a little sidebar, but...
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. Sorry. Councilman Anderson.
On the top of page 131, computer hardware maintenance, we significantly underspent last year's budget. What can you attribute that to? Because it seems as though we were consistently spending between 150 and approximately 160 every year, and actually we only spent 48.
I think it's just in this application.
That would be part of the COVID reimbursement.
Is there anywhere in the budget that indicates that it shows?
As far as the breakdown,
Yeah, breakdown of the reimbursement?
so we can give you the breakdown of the application that we made to the Middlesex County Improvement Authority. That'll show all of those expenditures, all of the expenditures that we requested back as a reimbursement from them.
Any other questions for Mr. Austin? Comments? Thank you. TV 35, Mr. Haggerty. S&W page 12, OE 16 through 17. Councilman Spiller.
It's not a question, just a comment. I remember when I was in high school, I'd have to wait until Friday at 9 p.m. to watch my wrestling match. Now, we can have 9 events on a Sunday, and by Monday, you can go to the Woodbridge channels on YouTube and social media. Obviously, with social media now, the way it was a few years ago when I was in high school. You can go on any Twitter, all those, but along with, IS, the TV 35, I mean, we say it a lot at council meetings too. You'll be able to see it Friday night when the council meeting here, but by 10, 11 o'clock the Wednesday after, it's on there, and that's important because next Tuesday we have a meeting. A lot of us will comment or bring up about the events that are happening the rest of that week or that weekend. Then you go right on, so just want to commend you.
Our technology is evolving and we're doing better programming.
Just have a quick comment.
Councilwoman Jones?
Just wanted to say to Director Haggerty, 10 towns in Woodbridge Township. There's a whole heck of a lot going on, probably more than many other towns surrounding us, and you have been able to capture all those events, and also you incorporate the schools and the events that they're having, and you put that on your weekly e-news that you send out. A lot of work, great staff, always very nice and very accommodating, and I thank you for all of that.
And yes, they've done a great job getting our coronavirus Mayor McCormick's videos out to everyone, and the phone messages that were daily, and then they decreased, thank God. But your department, you were responsible for making sure that we were on top of everything that was going on, and that we knew the numbers as they were going up, and that we know the numbers as they were going down. So we truly appreciate the hard work, because your department, again, was one of those departments that worked continuously, and they didn't work from home. So we do appreciate the work. Thank you.
Mitch, I just want to make a comment. One, I appreciate the coverage that you do, especially with the high school sports. This year especially, knowing that for just in particular football games, the student athletes will only be able to have their family members at the game, and they have to have pre-reserved tickets. So they can't just go up and buy a ticket at the gate. So you're accommodating them with putting the games on Facebook Live, which I was very pleased to see that. I had one of the gentlemen who goes to all the games, is probably from the class of 1960-something, and he was very disappointed that he wouldn't be able to go to the game because he doesn't have anybody as a son or a daughter competing. But I encourage him to look at the Facebook Live. He was very pleased to know that the games will be covered, the games that we do cover will have Facebook Live.
We're kicking it up a step. We're going to be covering all of the 3 high school home games, regardless of who they're playing, and we're going to be doing Facebook Live for all of them.
That's awesome. And I know Councilman Picara asked about how we're going to make sure that he's going to be able to, when he gets excited and it's on live, sometimes that football language comes out, and we just want to make sure that we don't have that button that we can
I don't have a 7-second delay, so you guys are on your own.
Holy cow.
Any other comments or questions regarding TV 35's budget? We'll move down to the Municipal Council and Municipal Clerk, 1020 and 1030. S&W 2 and 3, O&E 3 to 4, and 6 to 8.
Got a question, Mr. Mitch, on page 8, line 6,000, a significant increase related to ambulance squads.
Page 8. On the first aid organizations?
Yes.
Mr. Simaluka?
What page, I'm sorry?
Page 8, please.
Page 8, the first 8.
Oh, the first aid. So the first aid is during COVID, we increased their pay. They were underpaid by virtue of the other towns, looking at what they were paid. We gave them a $2 increase during the COVID pandemic, and we kept that increase in place to keep those employees in place.
Vice President, comment on that? Being in an emergency service myself on the fire side and being around the first aid departments for years, and like you say, underpaid. You don't want to lose these highly trained individuals to other towns, so thank you for considering and giving them a raise to keep those highly trained individuals within our community to help our, our community itself. Thank you.
Well, I can't take the credit. It was under the mayor's direction.
Vice President Small.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Simaluka, on the same item as far as the EMS. It just seems like yesterday there was 7 squads independently run. And I can speak that we had to beg, borrow, and steal to raise funds. We had a contribution every year of $35,000 from the town, which was greatly appreciated. From a small town like Fort Reading, we had to rely on fundraising, carnivals, doing whatever we had to do door to door, just to raise money to buy a new ambulance. And we budgeted a new ambulance every 10 years. And that was a long time. So for the money that's being put into EMS is greatly appreciated. I know we've helped 2 squads with their buildings. I know we've bought several ambulances for our squads. And the $2 increase is very, very important because we don't want to lose our people. We don't want to lose our EMS. So many of our neighboring towns have just given up on EMS and contracted it out to hospitals. And the bills that these people are receiving from these hospitals are triple the amount of the bill that you receive from Woodbridge squads. So being a squad member for the past 39 years, I greatly appreciate everything the town and Mayor McCormick has done for EMS. And we are a model EMS program, model. We gave up on all the territories and jurisdictions, and we focused on closest to the call. The ambulance will have GPS, and that's the main goal, is the patient. We want our patients to get the best care they possibly can, and they absolutely are. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Vice President. You know our EMS does a top-notch job. They do such a well job that we have shared services agreement with surrounding towns. So thank you for your comments.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Spiller?
I'd be remiss if I didn't echo Council Vice President Small, Councilman Bauer's comments. Coming from the fire service for almost 28 years, everyone knows how important and integral EMS is, but to see it day by day on a first-hand basis, and God forbid, when something happens at your house, you're picking up that phone. It happened to me and my dad. It seems like an eternity. They were there in just over a minute. And it's such an important part. I'm so glad that the mayor and administration continually give so much support, not only EMS and fire, but across the board. And this is a really nice number to keep going, moving forward for the line and staff that, going out that far. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments on this? Councilman Ficarra?
I really can't hear what's going on. Are we still talking about the clerk, and are we just making closing statements? Where are we at here?
We are now finishing with the council and clerk's budget.
Okay, so...
It's your opportunity.
Okay, so for the clerk's department, when you walk into town hall, you got a choice of either going to the tax office, the court, or the clerk's office. Most people go to the clerk's office. And again, just like I said to our senior health and our director, the care that they give the citizens, regardless of whether they're there to complain, and even during the COVID times, Mr. Mitch, I believe you had to do a couple of virtual marriage licenses, if I'm not mistaken. It seems that your department and your team has always been able to adjust whatever the situation is. So no question on the financial end, but, you know, an opportunity to say thank you for keeping that office on the left going.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments on the council or clerk's budget? If not, we're going to move over to the Office of the Business Administrator, 1210, S&W on 4, and OE 9 through 12. Comments, questions? Council Vice President Small.
Just a comment, Mr. Mitch. First of all, thank you to you for a great job for this council. We really appreciate everything you and the office does. Mr. Semaluka, the first time out with this budget, very well done. Manny, Michael, you both done a great job. I appreciate everything you guys do for this team. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Anderson.
I have a question on page 10, and it is item number 4895, professional services. We have a significant increase from 200,000 to 436,701.
So, Councilman, that is for the, as the mayor alluded to earlier in his opening statements, that is for the overall assessment of equity and equality for Woodbridge Township, for its employees, and for the interactions between the employees and the public. That is part of that study, and that's why that's funding there. We don't believe we'll spend all of it, but we wanted to make sure we funded it properly so we do the right job. And if I could, just going back to Council Vice President's comments, I wish I can take credit. I have to tell you, these two gentlemen to my right, CFO Manny Fernandez and the Deputy CFO Michael Klepchak, along with the Deputy BA Casey Wagner, are outstanding individuals, and they make me really look good, and they do an outstanding job, and without them, they're my support.
Thank you, Mr. Luke. I just told Mr. Mitch I forgot Casey. I'd have mentioned Casey.
Good lingering in the background.
I just have a comment. Mr. Mitch, we wouldn't be able to do our job if you and your staff didn't make it as easy as you do for us. So we truly appreciate everything that you do for all 9 of us and for all of our residents. To echo Vice President Small, Director Business Administrator Smaluka, job well done. It's your first budget hearing, heading it, not your first one. Again, getting this to us, I know, was a major headache. Timelines, all the questions that everyone has been questioning us about, all the concerns that we've had, and we've come to you. Everything was very precise and answered, and I want to thank you guys for getting our binder to us and making sure that we understood everything that was on here, and we feel, all of us, I'm speaking for all of us, we felt comfortable enough to ask the questions, and answers were provided immediately. So I want to thank all 4 of you for sitting here, but also Nicolette, because I never have gotten such a quick response as I was typing my questions last night at 12 at midnight, and I got an answer today. And usually it takes a couple of days, but I really do appreciate the exceptional job that you guys did this year, despite everything that has been going on. So thank you.
Thank you for your consideration and your time.
Thank you. We'll move on to the Office of the Mayor, 1010. S&W 1, OE 1 and 2. Questions or comments from council? If not, the Law Department, 1510 and 1511, which includes the Prosecutor's Office, S&W 14 and 15, OE is 29 and 30. Councilman Spiller?
Not a question, a statement, since this is our last line item, to echo my fellow councilmates. I want to thank the mayor, administration, the business administrator, especially finance. Once again, you presented us with a solid budget, and as the council president alluded to, there's been a lot of questions. What are we looking at to do in certain areas? I'm very, very pleased to see that everything was touched on in this budget, whether it's services, programs. Sadly, there has been some furloughs and layoffs, especially in governing bodies. We didn't furlough anybody, we didn't lay off anybody. We gave our frontline employees that annual increase, which I think is incredible. So just want to say thank you very much for a sound, solid budget.
Councilman Spiller, that praise has to go to the mayor. I think his vision, Mayor McCormick, he knew that we would have some difficult times ahead, and the fact that we didn't furlough anyone or lay anyone off, except for the crossing guards, which always get laid off during the summer, just to clarify that, is a testament to his ability to work the finances for the best of the entire township. So thank you for your comments.
And I have one comment regarding the office of the mayor. Our mayor, we've had not only coronavirus, but there have been a lot of questions by our residents concerning the way we work and certain, a couple of our departments. But again, it makes me really proud when we hear everything that everyone is saying, we're listening, and our budget represents the active role that we take and that the mayor takes in answering the questions. So on behalf of myself and my councilmates, I would like to thank Mayor McCormick, his office, and our Department of Finance, because there's plans and actions to answer the questions, and I just truly want to say thank you. Councilman Ficarra?
Yeah, I have just a question in the law area, and then if there is time to do a closing comment, I have something to say. But on page 29, line 4825, and right below it, 4895, both of them are for professional services. One is legal and one is other, and it's a pretty big piece of change. Is there a basic summary of that?
So give page 29. I'm sorry, Councilman.
Sure. 29, line item 4825 and 4895. Both of them are professional services. One is legal and one is other.
Yeah, so Councilman, we'll get you the backup on that. There's
Gotcha.
detail to it, and we'll email it over to the council.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments on the Law Department's budget? Madam President, if there's any other comments with regards to the budget itself, I believe Councilman Ficarra.
Madam President, just an overall statement. I don't think it's any secret over the last few months we have heard a lot of discussion about defunding the police, of which I was never a big fan of. But some of the items that were brought up from the various groups, whether it was Wild or some of the other people that spoke, did have significant merit to it. And I think that this budget that has been developed with not only comments but significant funds increase, whether it's the domestic violence response team that Councilman Meehan brought up, the continuing education issue of the police department, and the collaboration between the health department and the police department in the area of mental health. And then on top of that, as Council President said, to expand opportunities for the youth into Fords and into Port Reading, where the old Hungarian American Club is, the commitment to spend dollars to review every aspect of our policies to find out that they're fair to everyone, and to pull this all off with a 1% increase in the police department funding, I think is a great step in the right direction, and I'm glad that we were able to do that, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of that be put into place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments this evening from council? Administration? That's it?
No, we're good, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, if I can get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Meeting adjourned.